Welcome to Breaking Eggs with Seth Shezi. Breaking Eggs is a visual podcast where Seth talks to creative entrepreneurs, designers, seekers, healers, and thought leaders. During these candid and insightful chats, Seth teases out some nuggets from his exceptional guests that are sure to inspire, entertain, and make you go, huh, when you hear their unique methods of pursuing fulfillment.
I am Seth Shezi. Join me every week as I crack open the lives and learnings of some very special guests. We'll be chatting about the 5 golden pillars of a good life: wellness, wealth, love, mindset, and impact. Through these unscripted chats, I'm looking to uncover untold stories, answer some of my own questions, and hopefully leave you with better ones to ask about your life. This week, my guest is Chef Ryan Cole, executive chef and co-owner of Salsify at the Roundhouse. We talk about everything from his childhood, his stint in London, as well as running the test kitchen. But he also goes further into anxiety and mental well-being. Let's break. Hi, Ryan.
Seth?
Ryan Cole from Salsify.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. But what I'm curious about is to find out who Ryan Cole was before he was executive chef at Salsify.
Who was I?
Yeah.
I was in the making of who I am now.
So what made you? Like, tell us about the cauldron that made you.
Well, how far back we're going? Give me a time frame. Give me context.
I'm always curious about your London sort of start. Because, I mean, when did the bug to become a chef start? Like, you didn't always want to be a chef.
So
there must have been...
rumor has it that from the age of like four years old, they found me in the kitchen. So,
Doing
you know,
what?
like we all went to play school. So apparently back in the day, they'd find me. So everyone would be outside playing on the jungle gym, bullying each other, and like that's what kids do. And apparently you'd always find me in the kitchen with a lunch lady. Her name was Belinda.
Okay.
So that's where I was.
Were you there for the food or for Belinda?
Yeah, like I would help her make sandwiches, oras, all that nutritional things kids eat.
Of course.
So that's where they find me. So apparently like all the way back to like age of 4.
Okay.
That's what I was into. And then, then as I got older, like I remember seeing on like DSTV back in the day, like those cooking programs. And like there was these dumb ones where like you'd have to make a meal in 20 minutes and like they'd have all these celebrity chefs in.
But that sounds like MasterChef, the original one. Like
I
that
didn't
wasn't
call-
that dumb.
I didn't
used to
call
love
that
show.
dumb. Well, no, not when I was a kid.
I used to love that show with Joan Turode and Greg Wallace. I still
You just
remember
said
their
used
names
to love it.
because
You said you used to
I
love
used to
it.
love that show.
Yeah, but it's still on.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
No, it was the original with Greg, the bald Greg and
Greg
John.
Wallace and
John.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It's actually the show where I learned the difference between custard and creme anglaise.
So what's the difference?
The one is French and one is British.
Same, different name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except in modern times or in ways that I've consumed it, custard is always thicker than creme anglaise. So I think there must be a difference in how it's made as well.
Consistency,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then I used to watch cooking programs and then always fascinated, started cooking at home. My mother's a pretty shit cook, so whoops. So I mean, we didn't grow up with good food and big family gatherings and all of that, like, like the romantic one. Yeah, my mother's a good cook and like,
No?
None of that. No.
Was your dad a good cook?
No, he never really cooked. My dad was and is a fisherman, so he's always fished our whole lives. So from early mornings, late nights, he used to have a ski boat. So we grew up with really fresh fish in the house always.
So what did you do with it when your mom couldn't cook?
So my mother would make really delicious fish cakes because who doesn't love a fish cake? And then my dad would braai it. So like quite often we'd have like snook braais. But I mean, I remember seeing so many different types of fish growing up, which is like pretty cool. And then in high school you do something like where you choose your industry that you want to do after school and you kind of spend a week in it. And then I was like, yeah, cool, I want to be a chef. So then like phoned around.
Wow.
I was like,
I didn't know it started that early.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, nice.
So then even back then, so I think I was in standard 8 at the time. And then I did a week in a hotel called the Vineyard Hotel.
Yeah, I know it.
So then went there, you have to do like your school hours at the hotel in the kitchen. So then I went and like do your school hours, like breakfast. I mean, back then I think I was like 15. And then like I didn't even know what a fucking poached egg was.
Yeah.
Like my mother doesn't stand at home on a Saturday morning making poached eggs.
Like,
So I was like all of them. And I remember this one time there was a guy named Darren. He was like 23 when I was a kid. And he was like this really cool older guy. He had tattoos and knives and he used to smoke. And like so I worked with him. So I was like his shadow. He's like skivvy. And then he was like, yeah, just go into the first walk-in fridge and grab me a rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
whoa, what's that? Yeah.
Rocket. I'm not stupid. I might be in high school, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, no, it's a real thing. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, this is rocket. And I tasted it. I was like, it's so peppery.
And you were like, no, I knew this was.
Yeah, no,
like, I just call it cilantro. Sorry.
That's coriander.
Wait, what's rocket?
Rocket is rocket. Sweet rocket.
No,
arugula.
rocket.
Arugula. It's a type of rocket, yeah, but it's a different. It's like they're cousins. We'll go with that.
Sure. In South Africa, all types are called rocket, whereas in America, all types are called arugula. Yeah. So
then
chef me. Continue.
I'll chef you any day. It was crazy. It was wild. Every the 5 days I was there, I was just learning. I was just like, this is new, that's new. Everything was new all the time.
Yeah.
Then I was like meant to be there from 8 until 2, and then I'd stay there till like 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then so it'd go from breakfast to lunch to dinner, and I'd just be like, what? And I loved it.
Wow.
And I absolutely loved it. So then I just kept going back. So back then I used to have a paper route.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to deliver newspapers, and on a Saturday I'd deliver the weekend Argus.
Nice. That's a big gig.
Yeah, it was a good gig. And then on my newspaper route I'd met an elderly Chinese couple, Mr. and Mrs. Ming.
Obviously.
And I don't want to stereotype. That was their name. And then they had a catering company where they do Chinese food for events, small weddings and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think they must have had a restaurant, then it closed down because they were getting on in the years. And then they were like, yeah, cool. Do you want to help us out and be a waiter or whatever?
Cool.
So my job was to be a waiter, put food down, take it out, help them clear, help them take things home and unpack and pack their car. I mean, back then they must have been in their 70s and they're still around today.
Wow.
And they're tiny. They're literally up to my elbow.
Okay. Careful.
And then, I remember being like, this is mental. And then eating all that food, I was it was so foreign to me that I loved it. So then, fast forward a few years, and I was helping Mr. and Mrs. Ming out with their catering company, their Chinese little gig.
Yeah.
And then started going into the vineyard on my weekends. And I'd go in super early, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who was the head chef at the vineyard at the time?
Back then it was Alex Doherty.
Okay.
Yeah. An English guy. Back then he was probably, he looked old, but he was probably 51, 52. But he's also I was just fuck, this guy's cool. He was proper English, big gold ring on the pinky finger. He used to smoke a lot. And I was like, yo, this guy's cool.
Yeah. Did he have tattoos?
No. Tattoos weren't cool back then, huh?
Okay.
Well, this is 2004, 5.
Continue. I don't want to interrupt you because I need to find at some point where the idea with tattoos as well came from. So keep going.
So then I started going to the vineyard. I went back and I went every weekend. So the reason I was going at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because my dad is a fisherman.
Yeah.
So that they would leave from our house and then he'd tow the boat to Hart Bay in particular. So then he'd drop me off outside of the beautiful hotel in his big fishing bucky and fishing boat out the back. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
You're a hipster. It's cool.
Yeah, I was so far advanced. I didn't even know I was. And then, so I kept going and then eventually I just didn't leave. And then he was like, yeah, look, why are you still coming in? I was like, am I not allowed to? He's like, no, you can. But why are you here? I was like, I love it. I think I was I was young. And then
but what did you love about it? Did you
everything.
Love... Because there's so many different aspects about being in the kitchen. There's the camaraderie from having a sense of community. There's also the skill itself of cooking. There's the thrill of the adrenaline, of the fact that you're doing under pressure. Which one is it that was appealing to you?
I think the biggest thing is that it starts new every day.
Okay.
So no matter how shit today is, tomorrow morning's a new one.
And no matter how good today is,
it's over. So you can only chase yesterday.
Yeah.
So and also it was the adrenaline service and it's the brotherhood of these people are dependent on you to perform a duty. So you're part of a team. You have a place.
Yeah.
So you're part of a squad. That you walk in and the guys are fuck, I'm so happy you're here.
Is everyone awake to that camaraderie? Because I often find chefs in the kitchen, when you observe kitchens, they scream at each other, they shout at each other, and I think to an unknowing person it might look like they're being rude to each other, but on the inside, do you guys get what is going on? Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a time and a place, and you must remember everybody has their. Not everyone can be the lead singer.
Yeah.
Not everybody can play the drums, but so I think to an outsider it looks a lot more, not aggressive, but a lot more that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're all of those chefs are just trying to be Beyonce.
Yeah.
No one.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you once you spend a bit of time and scratch the surface, you kind of go, okay, cool. So his job is to call out to that one, and everybody's got like their part to play. So then you get a bigger picture of this orchestra.
Okay.
And it's completely controlled. Like one person's job is to call, and like everyone has a very specific function. So yeah.
Okay. So then Mr. and Mrs. Ming, and then then he told you that you don't need to come back, but
it's
you
like,
still
please
wanted
stop
to go
coming
back.
back. And then I was like, no, but I like it. So then he was like, yeah, cool. Look, we're doing an apprenticeship, and then he was like, yeah, do you want to do it? And I was like, well, do I have to do it? Can't I just start working? He's like, no, you have to be like qualified. You need to be.
Last week you did not know what rocket was. I think you need to do that apprenticeship.
Yeah, exactly. Go and learn what rocket is. Rocket and arugula. And then I did an apprenticeship, stuck around there for a few years, and then I was like, one day I was like training my seniors, and I was like 19 or 20, or I think I was 20, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, cool, I'm done. I'm pack my bag up. I have a British passport because my mom's Scottish, which is why she's such a bad cook. And then
I'm sure she makes a mean potato dish.
No, that's the Irish.
Oh, is that the famine?
Yeah.
Wrong country.
Same, but
what do the Scots? Oh,
haggis.
Salmon?
They've got beautiful salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I moved to London, and then I bought a one-way ticket, and I flew to London, and I like had no money. I like literally had the money from my leave days, whatever. I think I got paid back then. I got paid out 10 grand.
Okay. That's a lot of money for just working like a temp job.
No, but remember, I was a student, so I'd worked there for 3 years, and I'd never taken like holiday and stuff because I just.
Okay.
So like back then, you used to have a pension or a provident, so then I got paid out for my provident fund.
Yeah.
And it was like a massive total of 10 grand. Bought a 4,000 rand ticket to London.
I think back then, I mean, in comparison,
I was fucking loaded.
Completely, yeah.
And then so then I landed in London. I stayed in a place north of London called Hendon.
What were the prospects? Why were you going to London?
I was going to go to London and work in a Michelin star restaurant. That was the plan.
Why? Well,
because I wanted to learn how to be a cook. I was like, because those are the best chefs. London is where it's at.
So basically, from the time you worked at the vineyard, you basically got into yourself that, wow, this is my career. This is it for me. This is what I want to do. Okay.
I was never not going to do it.
Wow. Okay.
And then, but also it made life quite easy because I was like so single-minded that like that was it.
Yeah.
There was never like what about being a creative director? Like, no, I'm a chef. Like, what about food styling? No.
Yeah.
Like we style food. That's so I was quite like just like on the path. I was like kind of like cool. I want to do better. I want to push harder. I want to go. And then worked at a place called Le Trompette. It was in Kensington. But like so, I went in for my stage, so my trial.
Was that the first job you had when you moved?
First job I had in London. I got it 6 days after I started. I moved to London.
Yeah.
Moved to London, like looked around, and then I was like, cool, I need to find a job. Looked up a recruiting agent, and then went in to Lawson Place. The chef's name was Tristan Walsh.
Yeah.
He worked at Petrus for Gordon Ramsay.
Nice.
And he was he was the youngest chef in the group when they won 2 stars at Petrus.
Oh, amazing.
Fucking lunatic.
Yeah. Did you know this before you went in for the interview?
I'd Googled him, but I didn't know like him.
Okay.
So then like I chatted to the guys. It was like also a small team, good people, and then went in, did spend the day in the kitchen. I was kind of like, yeah, this is it. This is me. Like, awesome team, great people. Tristan's a nice guy. And then he was like, okay, cool. And the only problem is like we don't really want to pay the recruitment agent. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well then, like, can't I just come back another day and do another trial without the agency? So then eventually we worked the way around that.
Okay.
And then got the job, first day on the job, started, and then all of a sudden Tristan wasn't in the kitchen.
Okay.
And nobody told me there was a head chef that was off the day on my trial.
Okay.
So then first day, Tristan wasn't there, and I was kind of like, hey, how's it going? My name's Ryan, I'm here, like my first day. And this guy was like, okay, cool story, now what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm starting today. And he's like, okay, cool story, get onto the fucking section. And I was kind of like,
who was this?
who are you? He's like, I'm Ross.
Yeah.
And he was the head chef.
Yeah.
Ross Gibbons was his name. Like, he worked at like only 2 Michelin star restaurants, like military style, very hard, very unforgiving. And then I was just like, and like lunch started. So I was like, okay, cool. I was working on like starters. And then lunch had started, we were busy, and he was just a menace. He was just a hard, old school, and I was like, oh my fuck, like what have I gotten myself into here?
Okay, but I mean, looking at you today, you are quite like a hardy chef yourself. Do you think that was shaped then, or did you develop it after?
I think I've always had that sort of temperament, that sort of like, okay, cool, cut the bullshit. Like, it's, you know, like the thing is a difference between like being stern and then like being unreasonable.
Okay.
Like those two things are very different.
So you think he was unreasonable and your style is just stern?
Yeah, I mean, the way I run my kitchen is that like the guys know when it's playtime, but they know like that when that docker machine makes its noise, it's like, okay, cool, silence, focus, like we're in a war here. We've got people to feed and we need to do it properly. There's no next time.
Yeah.
So like my thing is there's no next time. We need to get it right every time.
Yeah, of course.
Like plate after plate. So like, yeah, I mean, I am like unrelenting, definitely, in our like sort of search for progress, definitely. But I mean, I wouldn't call me, I don't know, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, so then I worked with Ross and like it started out as just like fucking menace. I was like, like, and there were people just leaving.
Yeah.
Like, so people were like, oh, I just want to do this. Like, it needs to be a nice environment, otherwise you're not going to keep anyone.
Yeah.
So then, like, there was a few people that left, and it was hard. It was like very, very hard. We used to
why were you staying there if he was so hard?
Because I never gave myself anything else to do. I was kind of like, this is what I'm doing. There was never, I never.
So you kind of took everything and just thought, okay, well, this comes with the territory. Yeah.
So then I'd started, and then Ross was really hard to work with and for. But we became very good friends in the process. So like we were a small,
Yeah.
Because I stuck around. Like no matter what he did, no matter what he said, I wasn't going anywhere. So like, cool, try your best, but I'm not going.
Okay.
So you're not going to win.
Because you felt like you didn't have an option, or because you were desperate to learn from him?
No, because he is a fucking good chef. And he like, cut the bullshit. Like he was a good chef, and we were learning, and we were progressing every day.
Yeah.
And back then, this is 2011 probably. This is 2011. This is a good, what was that, 11, 12 years ago? 11 years ago? 10 years ago?
No, it's more like 12, isn't it?
No, it's 10 years ago, 11 years ago, yeah.
Okay,
so this is a decade ago.
Okay, yeah.
So like the whole like lifestyle thing hadn't kicked in yet. It wasn't all about the 4-day working week. Like this is it. This is how restaurants work. If you don't like it, fucking next. So then we had become good friends. I wasn't going anywhere. I was kind of like whatever. Like, and the thing is also it was like one of those people that kind of picks on the weakest link without trying to pick on the weakest link.
Yeah.
So it was like I was never the weakest link. And so I was like always watching. I was always like paying attention. I was always like very in the know of what was happening around me. So I was like always made sure I was bulletproof.
Okay.
And then he left, and then he was like, "Yeah, you should go and check out the square." And I was like, "The square, like the square." He's like, "Yeah." So then he's like, "Yeah, they're actually hiring. I've spoken to Phil, the chef there. Like go and spend a day. Go and spend the day." So I'd gone in and spent the day, and then
was he moving there?
So Ross had left, and he was going on. He was taking on another project. Back then, he was opening a restaurant called Deboo. You must know it.
Don't know.
Holly Deboo?
No, I don't think so.
It was wild. It was like one of the best restaurants back in its day.
Yeah.
And then, so he went and he was the head chef at Deboo, and they won a Michelin star within like 6 or 7 months.
Okay.
Like very, very good team. And then he was like, yeah, cool. He had left, and then I was kind of like, well, fuck, I don't know. Now you're leaving, so now what? And then he's like, yeah, go check the square out. And then I went for like, spent the day there to check it out. And then like Phil sat me down at the end of the day. He's like, yeah, cool. So are you looking? And I was kind of like, not really. I have a job.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, look, we're hiring. I mean, these positions don't come up very often. Do you want it? So I was like, oh, I'll let you know.
Why were you reluctant?
Because I wasn't looking for a job. I had a job.
But surely it was a better job.
But you must remember, like, if you think about like our parents back in the day when we were youngsters, what the goal was to find a job, keep the job, retire.
Of course, yeah.
And so like I'd literally gone from like working at the vineyard to moving overseas by myself, got myself a job, and now I'm gonna get another job.
Yeah.
Like, why are you getting another job? What's wrong with this job?
Yeah.
You have a job, leave it.
But then did you not, I don't know, ever occur to you to think that, well, the reason why I liked working under Ross, even though he was a difficult person to work for, was because I was learning from him. And now that he's left, maybe I need to find someone else to learn from.
Yeah, I mean, back then you don't really think about it.
Okay.
You kind of like, you're so stuck in the trenches. Like we were getting in at 7 a.m, we were working till like 1 o'clock at night every day.
Sure.
And that was our life 6 days a week. So your day off, you'd normally drink the night before, and you
just
just sleep the whole day, wake
up
at 4 in the afternoon. And back then I used to have like, so what I used to do is if I was off the next day, I'd sleep, like if you sleep head to toe normally on your bed. So your pillow's on one side of the bed, and that's the top of your bed.
Yes.
So what I'd do is on my day off, I'd put my pillow on the other side of the bed.
Yeah.
So when you wake up in a panic and you're the wrong way around, it's your day off.
Are you kidding me?
I promise you.
That sounds slightly like military trauma.
It was
kind of
mental.
levels
But then you'd wake up back to front and you'd be like, oh fuck, it's my day off.
No
okay, cool.
way.
Back. Yeah, it was hectic. Yeah. So then
how
anyway,
does that not, like, I don't know, scar you or whatever? Like,
because
surely
you can choose. It was part of the experience. It's part of the life. I mean, I'm not. Are you going to let that determine your whole life?
No, I mean, you can choose, sure, but I think that one of the nice things about like the restaurant industry is how low the barrier to entry can be. And so it allows opportunity for a lot of people who don't necessarily have the opportunity to go study at some fancy sort of like Swiss school.
Yeah.
And so then as a result, there are a lot of people there who end up in those jobs because it's the best way they can make a living and stuff. And then they fall in love with it. Yeah. So it's harder for those people to say you can choose to leave because, you know, they can't really choose. Yeah. And if it's that grueling, it must be really difficult, like psychologically.
But it levels the playing field. So you've got to look at that aspect. So you can have somebody who's gone to the fanciest school and come from like the most like, what is the right word? Affluent background. Yeah. Versus somebody that's come from absolutely nothing. And your book knowledge versus mine could be in like multiple, like umpteen times higher. But if it comes down to it, there's only one thing that matters. Like, can you cook?
Yeah.
And that's like a skill you can get taught, but it's also, there's an innate feeling there. So like a kitchen is the one area that completely levels the playing field. Yeah. Doesn't matter if you have a 10,000 rand knife and I've got a 100 rand knife. If my knife is sharp, I've got knife skills. Like your knife means nothing if you don't know how to use it. It's like having the most incredible sports car and not knowing how to drive it. It's the same sort of the same premise.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, cool. I mean, for me, it just seems like something that could easily become traumatic, and it's a difficult thing to try and understand how people end up staying in it for very long. And perhaps that is something that needs to be changed or looked at long term to say, maybe 6 days a week is not really feasible because you don't do that anymore. You don't.
No, exactly. But I mean, the industry has undergone a massive change in the last 10 years. I mean, it's still not near where it needs to be. Yeah. But if I think back from when I was like a chef de partie in a kitchen, we would work 6 days a week and you'd work from 7 in the morning till 1.
Chef de partie is.
So a chef de partie is basically the dude who he's like, I would say, like lower management. So he runs a section and he's got a couple of guys who report to him. So if you think about it, if you have meat, fish, vegetables, you'll have the guy who's cooking the meat. He'll be a chef de partie. Underneath him, you'll have a demi chef de partie, and then you have a commis chef. So those are your three levels of like sort of not junior, but so your chef de partie would be like sort of the guy who's on the up and coming. He's running his own section. He's got a few people reporting to him. And then above him, you've got a junior sous chef, which is exactly what it says. And then you've got a sous chef, senior sous chef, exec sous chef, and then you have a head chef. Yeah.
And who would be the lowest rank?
So we don't go lowest rank. The most junior rank in a kitchen would be your commis chef.
Okay.
And then underneath that, you've got your students.
Okay. So if I walk off the streets and I have no experience. Yeah. And I walk in and say, I'd love to cook. I would love to have a job here. Yeah. What would I be given?
So you'd start out in the scullery because that's your first test. Okay. So you'd start out in the pot wash and then it sounds like a horrible job.
What if I asked not to do that part?
Have you cooked before?
Oh yeah, definitely. Tons.
Where? Have you had a job before in a kitchen?
No.
Okay, cool. Then this is our scullery. And the big pots go over here. You use the metal scrubber for those ones, and the small ones use the green scrubber.
I've heard of people walking into restaurants and saying, I'll make you a dish, and if you like it, you hire me. If you don't like it, then I'll walk off.
But they would have had experience in a kitchen.
No, I have experience in a kitchen. I've just never worked as a
chef. No ways. Because you know what? Me making you an omelette is very different to me calling out, okay, cool, away 3 Wagyu beef, 4 minutes, and you being able to go, okay, cool, 4 minutes for that, and then on to the next one, and then what's he doing, what's she doing, okay, cool, what's coming up next? Oh no, this is a no gluten. Oh, that's a vegan. Okay, cool.
Okay, but then why can't then the person just ask to have a free shift where they work for free, and they do that, and you observe them, and you're like, oh cool, this person actually can do it. Then they can skip the pot wash.
But why would you want to skip the most integral part of it?
You learn humility. This is for
you're asking for a friend.
For someone else who might be really interested in actually, because I think that ultimately, what I would love a lot of people to sort of like pick out a few things out of the conversations that we have is, one, personally, selfishly, I want to know more about the people I'm interviewing. But ultimately, I would like someone who's listening to it to also think, oh, cool. even maybe for me, there's something that I could do within the space.
Yeah, there is.
And I think not everyone is going to want to, run the whole gamut. Like some people will just be like, actually, you know what, I'm pretty good at making, like, I don't know, at that pithiva already, and so like maybe I should just go straight to like.
Yeah, but the thing is, the point is that, especially in this industry, which is a craft, it's a skill set. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time to perfect it. Like you don't wake up and all of a sudden you're Gordon Ramsay. You don't wake up and all of a sudden you can chop, fry, sweat, and do things with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
There's a process. So the thing is, knowing.
Gordon Ramsay still our yardstick though?
Who is he? No, well, I mean, technically he's a good chef. Yeah. I mean, who do the kids follow now?
I don't know.
Like Roy Choi probably. Don't follow the recipe.
Ryan Cole.
No, that's only my guys who look after that. But I mean, so that's that. The point is that, like, there is a process, and at the start of the process is humility.
Yeah.
And that comes from being the most junior person. So if you're a student, if you're like, cool, look, it might be something I want to get into, like knock on the back door and be like, you know what, I actually want to be a chef. I know this place. I've researched the place. I know your menu. I know who you are. I know what like you guys are about. Like, can I come?
Yeah.
The answer is always yes.
Yeah.
But like in our establishment, like our baker was a scholar, our barman was a scholar, our assistant sommelier was a barman. So we're all about like growing people up. So in my kitchen in particular, I wouldn't take a random guy off the street and be like, absolutely pull in. Like there's people in line for those jobs. So as soon as there's an opening, like one of my guys are next in line because he's put the time in. He's shown me that he's committed, he's loyal, he's interested, and he understands how the place works. Yeah. So like tomorrow I'll say to him, okay, cool, see ya. This is it. This is your shot. And then he gets it. He knows where we keep things. He knows how the kitchen works, how it runs. So he adds value off the bat.
Okay.
And he's shown me that he's there and he's loyal.
Let's go back to the flow now. So now you are at the Square and you are not sure whether you want a new job because you've already got a job. And then
I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll let you know. And then I go back to work. And then the next day Ross phones me. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, it's an awesome place. It's incredible. I was like, yeah, the team's really good. Like the guys are cooking good food. 2 Michelin stars, like busy for lunch, busy for dinner, 60, 70 covers, like very busy. Very busy in every sense.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so what, you said you can like go and work there? He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, but I'm not really looking. He's like, whoa. What?
Yeah.
You said to him you'd let him know. I'm like, yeah. Told him I'll chat to you first. He's like, no.
Yeah.
Put the phone down and phone full right now and say thank you. I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah.
And that was like a Thursday. So I left Lawson Place, and the next week I'd started there. And then I worked there.
When you tell this story now, do you realize that it should have been a very obvious and clear, yes, I'll take it, great answer? Or do you still think that you had the reason to deliver it?
Well, you know what? I think I've always sort of overlooked all of my own accomplishments. So for me, it's never really a big deal.
Okay.
So like, I don't look back and like go, I should have been really excited about that because, I was so fixated on the fact that this is part of my journey. So like the other interesting thing is I've worked at like 8 restaurants and I've never applied for a job.
Okay.
Which is like,
yeah.
There's like, you don't not get to apply. Nobody doesn't apply for jobs.
No, of course. Yeah.
Like, but
unless they're semi-decent at whatever they do.
Yeah, exactly. But in chefing worlds, like the places I've worked, I've been really lucky to get in and sort of like find a home there.
Yeah.
And like, so that was like one of them. I was working at the Square, and then eventually our head chef, Rob Weston.
Yeah.
He was like, cool, he's going to this place called Le Trompette. It's out in Chiswick, and then I was like, this is fucking cool. And then on like my days off, so at the Square we used to have rolling rosters, so you get a Wednesday off and a Saturday, Sunday, or a Monday, Tuesday, or a Thursday, Friday. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, cool, Ross. Like Rob's going, he's gonna go and like open his own place. This is so exciting. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
And he was head chef there for 22 years, but he was like 47 back then.
Wow.
Strong man, like very fucking good chef. Like worked for Marco Pierre White when they won 3 stars.
Nice.
Like very talented, very strong. And then so he had taken over Le Trompette, and then I was kind of like, on my days off, I was going in and helping him. But like, I didn't think anything of it. Like normal people, like, yeah, your days off, you don't work. So I was like, fuck days off. I was like, Rob, can I come help? Can I do walk in, work, and then go back to the Square the next day, like work.
And was all of this still healthy, or were you a bit of a workaholic at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit. I am still probably,
Yeah.
but I'm obsessed with it. So it's not like it's not like I'm trying to reach like a certain amount of hours, or it's just like I love it.
But it must be scratching a certain itch. Well, what is that itch? Like, what is it that?
I don't know. I think probably like the never-ending desire to do better, to just push. Like back then, I was really like, people were burning out all around me. Like back then, burnout was so common and so prevalent.
Yeah.
I was always like, I'm gonna find the hardest place I can, and I'm gonna let it fuck me up.
Why?
Because I want to see like, so everyone says, yeah, you can't do it, you'll burn out. Like there was just a lot of
who were you trying to prove that point to? Like, was
myself.
it a personal sort of thing?
Yeah, it was myself. It's kind of like, this like little kid from Southfield in the Cape Flats.
Yeah.
Like going through all of this. I like booked a one-way ticket to London with like one suitcase.
Yeah.
With 3 chef jackets, 2 pants, my steel toe boots.
Yeah.
And then I think like 3 t-shirts, a pair of pants, and a pair of shorts. And that was
Why
our.
did you have steel toe boots?
Because that's what we worked at. We're a Warren Hotel.
Oh.
So then, and that was it. I was going to London. I was going to do it. Everyone was like, "Fuck, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Cheers. Good luck with that." I was like, "Oh, you won't see me in 2 weeks. I'm going to go and I'm going to do this."
Okay.
People are like, "No, but this isn't how it works. You don't just like, you don't just get to decide you're going to do this and you do it. That's
And
not how
you're
it
like,
works."
I'll
I was
show
like,
you. Yeah, but then where did that tenacity come from? Like you were, I don't think you were always just dying to like prove people wrong. There must be something inside of you that
no, it's a
stirs
fear
you
of failure. Of course it is.
Okay.
It's like there's a deep-seated like fear of failure that you like nothing's ever good enough. So you've got to push past this.
Yeah.
Today is not going to be perfect, but if you survive today, tomorrow might be.
Yeah.
And every day, like if you just chip away at that 1%, if you just get a little bit better, you might make it. And it's also there's like a conscious, even now. I mean, what am I now? 33. Even now, there's a constant thing in the back of my mind saying, like, not that I'm successful, but your success is temporary.
You're very successful.
Yeah, I mean, by other people's measures, but by my own. Like, have I got to where I plan on going? No. Do I know where exactly I want to go? Sort of. Will I say it out loud? No. But like, do I know that I'm not there yet?
You wouldn't say it out loud because of fear of failing?
Because you gotta do what you want to do before you talk about it. You've got to you need to stay the course. Like, have that
but
thing.
What about manifesting and speaking things into
that's
existence?
cute, but I mean, do it. You know what I mean? You don't have to manifest it to the world to make it real for yourself.
No, true, but I think it changes your mindset and how you're looking at it. You approach the things that you want to achieve with a sense of openness rather than fear.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But so if you're just constantly aware that you need to get better, you need to push, just claw that victory one little wind at a time.
So the one thing I don't understand is that maybe it's because you obviously being a chef, a successful one at that, and working in the kitchen, which is a very hard, almost militant environment. The words that you use to describe like your achievements and the things that you strive for, to me, who like lives in a relatively soft life, sound very like not aggressive, but like sound very angsty. And like for me, like it would like if I felt like that about things, that would be the thing that would actually, I think, paralyze me from trying to achieve them. Because I would just feel like, whoa, the amount of energy and like angst that I need to be able to achieve these things is just insurmountable, and I can't do it. Like, are you aware of that? And is that something that feeds you, or is it actually just unconscious?
I think we live in a world. I think if you look at it like holistically, we live in a world and in a time and in a space that anxiety is real. So if I remember like when I was a kid, like I don't know where I read it or where I saw it. There's basically like there was like a story about wolves, and then the gist of it was like in a wolf's life, it never has good years or bad years. It has years. Some are better than others. Yeah. And the good years don't define it, and the bad years don't break it, because they're all part of the life. Yeah. And like it sounds weird, but that's always like rung true for me, because a bad year this year isn't going to define my whole life. Of course. Yeah, and a good year this year doesn't mean next year something can't happen.
Oh, completely.
So success is fleeting. Aware of that, yeah, so success is fleeting, and like...
So is suffering.
Exactly. So, like your best day and your worst day, they're only both 24 hours long. Yeah. And like, that is the truth of it. So it's like being aware that, like rent is due every day makes you like get up and go. Like the hardest part of your day is getting out of bed. So you wake up, you got to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up. and go. Like just hit every day with the same intent that you did the day before. And like, just be like, for me, it's like, I get the anxiety thing, but like, we live in an anxious world.
Yeah.
But if you're aware of what it is, and you're aware that, like, anxiety is real and it's fine. You're meant to have anxiety. It's normal.
Yeah.
But channel it.
Yeah.
Know that, fuck, I feel really nervous about this, but what am I nervous about? Like, what, they're not going to have the best meal of their life? Yeah, and they could have had a shit day. They could literally like not be hungry. They could have just be coming out. They could have been bubble us. Like, what? And that's not your problem. Just do the best that you can to contribute to what it is you're trying to achieve. So I mean, the anxiety thing is very real, but like, I'm aware of it. Like, anxiety is all around us, and like, everybody suffers from it, but
you're still able to reduce it down to what needs to be done, or what matters, right?
Yeah, for me personally, I'm in a position where I can see it and I can feel it, and I don't allow it to become debilitating. Like, either way, whether I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm like overjoyed, if I'm having the best day of my life, the worst day of my life, I've still got to get today going.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I used to run tests, like, I remembered like it was yesterday, we used to like, back then we had, I think we had one like eat out for the 4th, the 5th and the 6th time. And like, eat out was always on a Sunday, like, because no chefs worked on a Sunday, like fucking all restaurants going, like, what do we think, like, honestly? And I remember like we were lucky enough, like, when I was there, like, we had one, and I remember like it would be the biggest jaw ever. And I remember every time, like standing on the stage with Luke, and like Luke would always be like, like, Ryan, thank you for everything, like, thanks everyone, my wife and family, blah. And I'd always be standing there thinking the same thing to myself: how the fuck do we beat this tomorrow? Like, now what do we do? Like,
but when do you savor the good moments? You can't be standing on stage being, You
look back at it and you're like, fuck, how cool was that? Moments are made in memory.
I know, but do you internalize it? Do you allow yourself to actually feel the moment while it's happening, when you're constantly thinking about how to better the next moment?
You see, so it's polarizing, because I think in like, so when I have days where I'm like, going out to sea, or I'm like going for a hike, or I'm doing something, and so we'll be sitting here talking about it, and I'll be like, fuck, that was incredible. Like, how wild is that? We won, like, when we were there, we won it 6 times in a row. How crazy is that? I'm Ryan Cole from Salsify Restaurant, and you're watching Breaking Eggs with Seth Shezi.
Thank you for listening. Catch us next week for another episode of Breaking Eggs with Seth Shezi. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. Until then, let's break.